This is the story of a king who woke up one day to find he had only 3 days to live. Imagine waking up in the morning. Everything seems fine. But then you're told you have just 72 hours to live. How would you feel? Would you be scared, sad, or angry? Well, exactly the same way this king felt. In fact, in his case, it was even worse. Because this king wasn't just any ordinary man. He was King Solomon, the son of King David. When his father David became seriously ill, Solomon took over his duties as king. This meant that Solomon had a lot of pressure on him to do a good job and live up to his father's legacy. He also had to deal with some enemies of his father who never agreed with David being the king. As if this wasn't enough, he also had to deal with his own personal problems. You might think that being a king means having a perfect life, but the truth is, being a leader comes with a lot of difficulties. One day, while trying to do his best to rule the kingdom, Solomon realized he didn't have much time left to live. Maybe it was because he had made too many enemies, or perhaps his time simply ran out. Whatever the reason, he now had only 3 days to live. Imagine how he must have felt. On one hand, he was a powerful king who had everything one could ask for. Yet in a few moments, he would be just another mortal man looking back on his life. It is hard to imagine how someone with so much power and wealth could be so upset about dying. But the thing is, no one knows what tomorrow will bring. You can have everything you ever wanted, but still feel unhappy. And sometimes when you lose something precious, you understand its real value. The same thing happened to King Solomon. He ruled wisely and brought peace and prosperity to Israel. Everyone loved him, and his kingdom was known for its wealth and justice. But now that he was going to die, he realized that none of this would help him in the afterlife. All he had done during his life was build temples, fight wars, and manage his kingdom. But what would happen to all of this once he died? Would anyone remember him? What would people say about him after he was gone? As he sat on his throne thinking about his life, he heard a knock at the door. He asked whoever was there to come in, and when the door opened, he saw a tall man with a staff standing in front of him. The man introduced himself as Ahithophel, the counselor of King David, Solomon's father. Seeing the sadness in the king's eyes, he asked what was wrong. Now, here's where things get interesting. King Solomon started talking to Ahab, pouring out his heart. He told him about his sickness and how he realized that he didn't have much time left to live. Tende, Haskedol, wise, Ahab, I have only 3 days to live. What should I do? Or maybe you can help me become immortal by writing down the secret of immortality for me. After listening to the young king, Ahithophel smiled knowingly. He had already faced death once before, and lived to tell the tale. He could have easily shared his secret with Solomon. But instead he decided to teach the young king another valuable lesson. He said, "Immortality! Oh, Solomon, can't be written down or shared. Even if I tell you the secret, it wouldn't help you. Instead, I can offer you something even better. Listen closely, my boy, and I will tell you what will truly help you." Solomon nodded eagerly, ready to listen to whatever wisdom Achab had to share. Achab continued, "There are 2 paths in front of you, Solomon. The first path leads to light and happiness, but only a few find it. The second path is hidden in darkness and very few know about it, yet it leads to the same destination. Both paths start at the same place, but the first path is narrow and difficult, full of obstacles. The second path, though dark, is wide and easy. Most people choose this one." He paused for a moment, letting his words sink in before continuing. "When you reach the fork in the road, don't follow where everyone else is going. Choose the harder path that less people take. Trust me, in the end, both paths lead to the same place." After saying this, Achab gave Solomon 3 pieces of advice that would change the way he viewed life and death forever. These teachings not only helped Solomon accept his fate, but also gave him a new perspective on life. "First," he said, "don't fear death, Solomon. It is God's will, and it happens to everyone. Even the great King David will die one day. So why do you worry? Accept what God has planned for you." Hearing this, Solomon realized that his fear of death was what was troubling him the most. But Ahab's words calmed him down. He understood that death was a part of life, and he should not be afraid of it. "Then Ahab sides, don't be attached to anything in this world, Solomon. Everything is temporary. Your kingdom, your wealth, your family, and even your life. Don't let your happiness depend on things that you cannot control." Solomon thought about this and realized that he had been holding on to his position and power too tightly. He had been so focused on ruling his kingdom that he had forgotten to enjoy the simple things in life. Finally, Ahab said, "Don't waste your last moments worrying about the future, Solomon. Instead, spend this time reflecting on your life and thinking about what you could have done differently. This is the only way to make the most of your remaining time." As Solomon listened to Ahab's words, he felt a sense of calm wash over him. He realized that death was inevitable, and he could not change it. So instead of wasting his last moments in fear and sadness, he decided to accept his fate with grace and dignity. He thanked Ahab for his guidance and promised to follow his advice. After Ahab left, Solomon spent his last 3 days in a different way. He spent time with his family and friends, reflecting on his life and thanking God for all the blessings he had received. He also made sure to take care of his kingdom and his people, making arrangements for the smooth transfer of power. When his time finally came, he was not afraid. Instead, he felt at peace with himself and his life. In the end, Solomon's story teaches us an important lesson. No matter how powerful or wealthy we are, death is something we cannot avoid. Instead of fearing death, we should learn to accept it with grace and dignity. We should also remember that our lives are limited, so we should not waste a single moment. We should spend our time doing things that matter the most to us and our loved ones and make sure to leave a positive impact on the world around us. As for Solomon, he passed away peacefully, knowing that he had done his best to be a good and righteous king. He left behind a legacy that inspired generations of leaders to come. And that's all for today's story. I hope you enjoyed the story of King Solomon. If you liked it, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss out on any of our future stories. We've got plenty more adventures waiting for you. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.